Hi guys, how are you doing? I thought I'd come on and do a channeling today. I know I did say I'd come on Thursday, but I can come on now and give a channeling. So today, we're going to be doing a channeling with Bronte. I've got in front of me, you won't be able to see it because it's down. I've got an altar here. I'll share some of the things I've got on this altar. I've got a copy of 2 of her books. Transcendent and Wildfell Hall. I've got Agnes Grey. I've got various crystals. I've got 3 decks. The 3 decks that I'm going to use that Anne's chosen is the Animal Messages by Susie Green, the Field Tarot by Hannah Elizabeth Fofana, and just get that out from there, Transcendent Journeys by Cheryl Yambrach Rose. This deck has a story. It has a story. I'm going to share the story with you. I saw this deck on Instagram weeks ago. It was somebody else's deck. They'd laid them out. And I'd never heard of this deck, never seen it. And I saw it, and the minute I saw it, I was drawn to the lady on the front. And I was like, oh my God, that's Anne Bronte. Now, where's my phone? I've got loads of things going on here. Where's my phone? Anne Bronte, for those of you that know, does have red hair, did have red hair. I'm just going into my pictures. Can you see? Yeah. They're actually very similar, but that's Anne Bronte, yeah. As she was, that's the, sorry, it's the thumbnail, the thumbnail that I've made, but that's Anne Bronte, as she was. Blue eyes, yeah. Very similar, orange lip, it's just very similar, and I'll just put that there and take that off. And I just couldn't get away from the fact that this just reminded me of Anne Bronte. And when I've been connecting with her energy today, well, for the past few days, very gradually, this is what she keeps showing me. As I sat down and I brought her in, I said, you know, where would you like us to speak? Would you like us to speak in the Bronte parsonage? Would you like us to speak on the moors? And she was like, no, on my planet. And she took me to somewhere on a planet. It was blue. The colours of blue were amazing. And I asked her what planet she was living on. And I got the word Sirius. Bear with me. I do have a list of things written down here so I don't forget. So if I keep looking down, it's not because I'm being rude, okay? So Sirius. Hold that thought. Please hold Sirius. Okay. So this is how she wants to be remembered. Very, 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 very goddess energy. Very galactic. Soul journey. Right? So as I started to open up, I made this altar. Now usually when I'm doing a channel, I like to get straight into it. Masculine takes over and I want to jump straight in. With that, it was like, set it up gradually. Very slowly. With your eye still on the end game. And as I started to set it up, I could hear, physically, on where I am now, crows, ravens, birds. They absolutely went wild. And I was transported back to the parsonage to feel what it was like in her world then. Had to ground myself, come back. Thank you for showing me that. That's fine. I could also smell the smell of burning. I will come to that as well in a bit. Speaking of burning, I have some incense just behind the camera burners. If you do see whiffs of smoke across the camera, it's probably more than likely the incense, unless it's an orb, etc. So, this is all good. I'm trying to weave in many threads here. We've got the day after. This is the day after the Lion's Gate, which is the Sirius star aligning. Okay. Didn't realise she was from Sirius until about 2 minutes before I put this camera on. So she's coming through strongly during Lion's Gate. On Saturday, I asked you, when a soul comes through, I like to bond with them and find out things about their past life, things before we come on, just to see if we're compatible. And I asked to see if you've got any past lives you'd like to show me. Straight away, J.K. Rowling. I don't know if it's already out there in the spiritual community that Anne Bronte was J.K. Rowling, or in the Bronte community. I know it's already out there about Branwell and John Lennon. I don't know if it's out there. I personally have never read that. But J.K. literally went smack into my third eye, J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling, okay. You know, what's the character in J.K. Rowling? Sirius Black. I don't like Googling when I'm doing a channeling. I don't like to Google anything until after, when I'll jump on and I'll start Googling everything. I did feel pulled to Google J.K. Rowling and Bronte this morning, and I know why, because I don't know whether she still has the dog, whether the dog's passed, but she did have a dog that was called Bronte, right? Can't make it up. Whether that was a nick, again, I didn't look too deeply into the article, I just saw that she had a dog either nicknamed or named Bronte. So J.K. Rowling. See again, look, I put J.K. Rowling up and look what's it's stuck on Sirius. And that never happens. Right? Now it's moving on, look at that. I've not touched anything. I put J.K., look at that. Phone's frozen. That, my friends, is the reincarnation of Anne Bronte. I'm sticking with that. I'm owning it. Right? Again. Yeah. It's really weird because when I realised that incarnation, I kept really getting mixed up between J.K. They kept like merging, so it's like having to, it's almost like having to separate them to do this reading, if that makes sense. Anne, and I have to keep going Anne because I want to call her J.K. all the time, it's crazy. Anne was born on the 17th of January 1820, died on the 28th of May 1849. We've covered Sirius Black. So I believe 100% that she is a reincarnation of J.K. Rowling. When you look at J.K. Rowling, she's very, very independent. She's very, very... I feel as though she runs her own show, and I think that ties in with the lifetime of Anne Bronte, because Charlotte was the one that got the books going, got the books published, etc. You know, Anne and Emily were very much the backseaters, if that makes sense. They didn't really have the power that they should have had. And I feel as though that's been made up in this life, where she's probably, is she not the richest author, J.K. Rowling, ever? I know she's the richest female author. We're talking multi-billionaire. She's also given money to charity, and I feel as though she's, again, I've not Googled this. I know that she's given money to charity, but I've not Googled what charities. But I feel as though these charities are in line with abused children, children's starvation, women, domestic violence, sexual violence against women. A lot of which I feel, and I've not read it yet, is in this book, Tenant of Wildfell Hall. So, let me pull it back in again. So, J.K. Rowling is the reincarnation of Anne Bronte, and it's also showing us that, in fact, when I was sat having lunch, and I was looking at, I've made a thumbnail, the thumbnail that I've just showed you, I made a thumbnail up and I'm looking at it, and it's as though Anne was saying, no, that parsonage, it's like old, no, not being disrespectful, but it's like, that's been and gone, this, oops, sorry, that was my computer, this is what I am now, this is who I am now. That was just a fragment in time, a fragment of, it's like she's almost showing me, if you could see every other past life, every other present life, every other future life, that was like a small, minute fragment of soul, of soul in time that I belong to. As I'm talking, a raven, I mean, for those of you who don't know, Haworth is, especially the Brontes, especially the parsonage, is surrounded by crows and ravens. One has just flown right across my window. And it's almost like there is so much more to this soul than just those, it was 2 books. There's a whole, weird thing is, there's only 2 book collections I've got, I own. One of them's Harry Potter. I love Harry Potter. Not one for reading kids' stories, children's stories, but I do love Harry Potter. I also feel as though within the Harry Potter books there's also elements of the stories that she wrote as a child with the rest of the siblings. See, again, she's also reminded me that Harry Potter is an orphan. Anne Bronte's mother died, so there's this big feeling of loss within the Potter books. Most characters within the Potter, I'm literally going cold and goosebumpy, most characters in the Harry Potter books have suffered some form of painful loss that has not just broken them, but made them literally, it's the same as Emily. Those of you that watch the Emily channeling that cool air that I said was coming, it literally is. It's not wind, because it's not windy here. It's like ice. It's as though someone's got an ice machine there. It's like right around this table. But the lesson from the life of Anne Bronte is that everything is possible. Isn't that something that Sirius Black says? Anything is possible, everything is possible. You cannot make this up. This has just blown me away, because the stuff that she's brought in has been very slow and gradual, but it's been quite powerful. We look at our own lives and think, I can't make it in this life. But how she explained it to me yesterday was, as the life of Anne Bronte wasn't really the life where she had the full power, for although she was a published author, it came too late, and it wasn't on her terms. It wasn't done the way that she wanted it to be done. It was somebody else's name that was put in front. Charlotte's, done with all respect, of course. So it was somebody else that had taken the lead of somebody else's work. So she never had the power. She never had the personal power that J.K. Rowling. Even saying that woman's name is like, it's powerful, it's proper divine feminine. It's this energy. She also showed me, that's going to fall over. She also showed me that there's going to be an issue with the moors in Haworth, where she showed me parts of them on fire. This could be something in the near future, it could be something in the far future, but there's going to be fires on the moors. Now, how they're started, whether it's natural, whether it's arson, whether it's nature, whether it's paranormal, I'll come on to that in a minute. There's going to be fires on the moors. I've also seen, back in the day, the moors used to slide, what's it called? The moors used to slide, the peats, the bogs, whatever they're called. I'm not an environmentalist. Used to slip, and there's going to be things that will change with those moors. It's all part of the healing, not just for the Brontes, but for the land that's there. Because again, it's like she's saying to me, everybody just thinks about the Brontes, but those moors were there well before they were there, and probably will be there long after they have gone. There's other stuff that needs to be healed. I've just gone slightly dizzy. I will take some water. So when we see this coming up on the news, not to go into fight or flight, because it means those moors mean a lot to everybody. I've walked those moors. I've been to Top Withens. I've done the full walk, from the parsonage, from the crag right up, and it's breathtaking. And the Bronte Falls, the Bronte, everything. She did, when I started to set up this grid, I got the smell of burning, and I didn't realise what it was at the time. I thought it was coming in, but it was explained to me having lunch. Was that when I was sat down and she showed me when I looked at the picture of, and to zoom in on her energy, and obviously there's the parsonage there, and she showed me, it's just like, that's gone. Honestly, it's like if you could just see, there's so no there, if you could just see me now, it's like the parsonage. Not to be disrespectful, it's like the parsonage. That's the equivalent of us looking back in our own lives and going, oh, that's been and gone, look at me now. And the thing is, you can look at her now because that's her energy, it's a goddess energy, she's from the planet Sirius, or that's where she's residing now. We've got her as J.K. Rowling. So life goes on, but life doesn't just go on, life goes on and gets better. If in that life you didn't have the power that you had, then there is always hope. There is always hope that even when you physically die and leave the present incarnation where you're at, you can then go on and adapt, evolve and grow. And it's almost like she's pleading with people to let them all adapt, evolve and grow, to not just stay anchored, to not just visualise them there in the parsonage or there on the moors, that there's so much more to all those souls that have been, that have gone, that are reincarnating, that are continuing to evolve. She did show me, and I was like, whoa, do I put this on camera? And I thought, again, whoa, sorry, right burning on the side of my face there, down my ear. I feel as though something is going to happen with the parsonage. I felt it for a while. And I felt different things coming in with the parsonage. I feel as though there's going to be some type of fire damage. I know when it was shown to me, I was like, I'm not telling, because I know the Brontes and the parsonage mean so much to people. I'm not going there. But the thing is, if it comes up, it comes up. Whether this fire is caused by human error, arson, there's 2 butterflies. Sorry, human error, arson, or paranormal. Sorry, there's now 3 butterflies. 3 sisters. That is just too spooky to be true. That's actually quite sad. There was my off my desk outlooks across the garden, and there was 2 white butterflies flying together. Then there was another butterfly separate, but they were in my vision, so I saw them as 3. But the other 2 stuck together, and the other one, and I feel as though that's symbolic of Emily and Anne were together. It was like they were together and they've come back and they've all separated. And Charlotte was on, so Charlotte felt as though she was on the periphery of that. But in spirit, they've gone their separate ways. They've all gone their separate ways. They're all doing their own thing. That was weird, that. So, the parsonage, yes. And I feel as though that it could be paranormal. It could be it just starts and nobody realises what it is. It could be human error. It could be, something wrong with the piping or something in there, the lighting or whatever. It could be something much more sinister. But it just feels as though, butterflies back again, it just feels as though, yeah. But when that happens, now again, is that in the future? Is it in the distant future? Is it in the near? Who knows? But there's something that comes in with the parsonage. It could be a slight fire. It could be a big fire. But it's part of this healing. I have said in previous videos where I don't feel that a lot of the houses we have in England, again that burn in there, a lot of the houses that we have in England, especially after the pandemic, life is going to change. So we're not going to be going around the old museums. They're going to change. There's going to be some that close forever. And it feels as though there's stuff within the parsonage that needs to be healed, that needs to be cleared and released. And the only way it can do that is to stop the footfall that keeps going in there. But when that happens, don't go into fear and, oh my God, my memories have gone, that's gone, this has gone, my icons, they're all around us. They're the butterfly that's in my garden right now. They're the books that we read. They're the books that we read. They're the memories. She's gone on. They've all gone on to do other bigger and better things, and that's not down in the Bronte thing. They've just evolved. They've evolved and gone on. As I was connecting into her energy, and I said, just give me a few signs that what I'm getting is right, etc. I went to the kitchen. And I saw a butterfly, the white butterfly, and it was floating above a feather. Not a white feather that you get from angels, but like a quill feather, which is all about writing, because they would have written with quills. And at the same time, there was what I call, the things on a dandelion that you blow and they fly off. I call them fairies. Well, it danced right to my face, danced right close, and then bobbed off. So interesting. What shall we ask? I know one of you, I can't remember your name, said in one of my last Bronte videos, why were the Bronte siblings destined to die young? Yes. You don't die unless it's your time. When you come to Earth, you're given a date to come and you're given a date to go. How that happens, the ways in which can be changed. But there's a time to come in and there's a time to go. The thing is, they were Victorian. People died. I wonder when I was asking her about it earlier, it was like, people could actually die from shock. Put my cards down. What she showed me was the physical body back then was a lot different. The DNA was a lot different. It didn't take much to derail the DNA. Because of the light that we're absorbing, our bodies are so different. She's showing me the little dresses, they were all very little, very slight, very thin, very, not even slim, thin. So it didn't take much, you know, a common cold now, we'd bounce back out of that. A common cold then would kill them. They cleaned with arsenic. They cleaned, I couldn't believe it when I read that. They cleaned arsenic was in cleaning products. Laudanum was in, you know, you had a headache, you'd take some laudanum. Opium and alcohol, you know, heroin, you know. So they lived in different times, so they were up against a multitude of sins. So they were lucky to get to the ages that they got. When you got elderly in the Victorian, you were quite lucky, or were you? Because it came at a cost. Everybody else had gone. So life in the parsonage, and life in the parsonage. Despair. I've only been into the parsonage twice, once as a child and once in 2016, and yeah, it's a very sad place. And again, I don't actually think it's meant to be a house anymore, or even a museum. Despair, it was death, it was Victorian, it was dark, it was difficult, but they had a vision. Again, we've got the three. They had a vision, and their vision helped to get them through it. If it hadn't have been for their vision, as in their books, they probably would have died a lot sooner. Their books and their imagination, they were able to transport out. I almost want to say it's like astral travelling. These books were like, they would come to. I'm seeing them all as children writing books, and it's like they've just literally, although they're all in the there's literally astral travelled and gone out. And then it's like they'll come to, and it's like, you know, it was despair. Don't glamorise it. Don't make it something that was glamorous, because it wasn't. It was difficult. There'd have been no electricity, no plumbing. There'd have been no anything. You know, it was cold. It was bleak. It was, you know, their imagination was what helped them through that. Let's take that. Justice as well. We've got the card of justice and temperance. So justice. Number 8. That's my magic number's 8. 8 and 9 follows me everywhere. Things coming up for healing. Just and could I have some cards for those watching, because viewers love confirmation. We all love confirmation on this earthly realm. Can you just give us some cards of confirming or denying the J.K. Rowling incarnation, please, for those watching? Nurture. Establishment, if I can get it at the bottom, establishment. Yeah, the Empress. We've got the card of death, so yes, she died. She died, obviously. No shit, Sherlock. She died and was established and birthed something else from the pain of that incarnation, helped to birth something else. J.K. Rowling has also given birth to children, which is something that Anne never had she couldn't do in that life. She became a mother, so she's been able to do, she's almost saying it's like, everyone thinks Bronte, 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 but if only they could see, they can see me now, but only if they could see that actually that's the incarnation that I fully come into my own. It's like, I can see she's in charge of her finances, she's in charge of her direction, she's in charge of what she eats, everything, who she's in love with, everything she's in. It's not in a micromanaging, but it's saying that is so much better than that. There's so much more coming from that incarnation than ever came from the sadness of that incarnation. The books, I mean, I'm going to read these books. The Tenant World Fell Hall and Agnes Grey. There's so much sadness compared to I know I said the Bronte books again. The Potter books. Okay. Cards, I don't really like looking at deaths, but then it helps people that are watching. Cards, at the time of passing. Also, people need to stop visiting the grave. This is strange. I'm saying don't visit the grave. A few weeks ago we did. We went to Scarborough and it was actually by chance that we ended up at this grave. And we were stood there and it was like, she's not there. She literally isn't there. And it's like the people are still... I mean, when we were there were people flocking in, looking over the wall and that's that Bronte's grave. That kind of thing. And it's nice, but she's not there. So the death. Union. Bronwell and there needed to be healing when the stuff that happened during the physical incarnation with Lydia Robinson, they were able to heal that. It's almost like Bronwell was waiting for her, for them to heal that. Defeat. It just felt like defeat. It felt heavy. It was sad. It was emotional. But we've got the card of preservation. Perseverance. Okay. So it was emotional, but it almost feels as though it was a blessing. It's like she actually wanted to go. And what she's saying, there was more waiting for her over there than there was on this physical earth plane. There was more people. I don't mean to be disrespectful to the Brontes that were still there, but it's almost like the favourite ones, the ones that she was closest, not the favourite, but were already over there. So it was like, do I stay here where it's difficult, it's painful, it feels I don't have the control over my life I want, or do I progress to this where there's people that are waiting for me, where there's healing that can happen, where I can release myself of this burden. Okay, so yeah, you've got the Tower moment as well. I pulled a card earlier to put on my altar, and this was the card that came up, the White Deer, a quest for change, which is very much like the white butterflies that we're getting, a quest for change. To learn to see the soul as not just one fragment, but as millions, billions of fragments, planets, different incarnations. There's so much more to ourselves, she said. We don't even realise how much more there is to ourselves. We just see this incarnation, you know. What about the past incarnations? What about the other alternative incarnations going on right now? What about the ones in the future? She said, you're not just living your life as for now, the day-to-day, you know, washing, ironing, cooking, cleaning. You're paving the way for the next life. As she paved the way for the next incarnation of J.K. Rowling. If she hadn't have, you know, and again, if she hadn't have done those books, then, you know, that was the homework that was needed for the real, it's like, oh, I won't say like the real author, you know, the real author stepping forward in J.K. Rowling, the author that was in charge of her life. Right, card. Truth is unfolding, enlightenment. I have always said this, and I say this with not just the Bronte history, I say it with all. There's a lot of history that is hidden, and I feel as though there's a lot to come out within the Awakening, the Ascension, truths that weren't revealed, and this can be in the form of letters, diary entries resurfacing, truths coming out. And this isn't just Bronte history, this is all history. There's so much. I find myself, when I ever read a historical book at the minute, going, where's the rest? because they all seem to have the same threads, but then there's big blocks missing, and it's like there's more to these souls, not just the Brontes, there's more to all these souls, all these historical figures. Truth's coming out, truth's unfolding. We've got the card of the moon. She's holding a rose. It's almost like heart-opening truth as well. Animal ally. Card should we end on? Is that a stingray? Counter malicious talk by casting its import from your mind. It's a bit of a deep one to end on. Ray, stingray. Counter malicious talk by casting its import from your mind. Moose. With self-reliance and measured patience, adversity will be overcome. Yeah, there's a lot out there against not just the Brontes, but all historical figures. But it's not just about the Brontes, it's about us as well. There's a lot of people out there that may say things about you. We may say things about them. But it's about learning to control that tongue. To learning to not just control our tongue, but learning to control what others say about us. Control our reaction rather than let it in. Because she showed me how she passed over, then Charlotte took a lot of the flack that came from being a female author back in those days. So we've got to be careful what we absorb. Easier said than done. Anything else you'd like to say, Anne, before we go? Thank you. It's just thank you for the support. She does still visit the parsonage. She does still visit the parsonage. She keeps showing me going back with Branwell. It's got the Beatles song Let It Be. I will end on that. Thank you for watching. Deep breath. And I'll be back on Thursday. She's back on the plate. It was like no even closing down of that. I'll close down properly afterwards. I'll smudge and everything. But her energy's gone straight back to Sirius. So that's where she's Sirius. She's writing books as J.K. Rowling. She's probably got other incarnations. She's living her best lives. Okay? So thank you, Anne, for coming through. And I will see you all later. If you like this video, I've done other Bronte videos. I've got a playlist on my channel. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will be doing further work, and I will see you all later. Bye.